Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Grivaradha Hari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Grivaradha Hari. Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana. Yamuna Tera Vanachang Hari. Yamuna Tera Vanachang Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Grivaradha Hari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Grivaradha Hari. Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana. Yamuna Tera Vanachang Hari. Yamuna Tera Vanachang Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Grivaradha Hari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradham Hari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradham Hari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanatam Harim. Yamunatira Vanatam Harim. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihang 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 Harim. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari Radha Kunja Bihari Radhe. Jaya Radha Raspi Hadi Radha Raspi Hadi Radhe. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe. Jaya Radha Ramana Radha Ramana Radhe. Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe. Jaya Radha Gopinata Radha Gopinata Radhe. Jaya Radha Sham Sundar Radha Sham Sundar Radhe. Jaya Radha Sham Radha Sham Radha Sham Jaya Radha Sham. Jaya Kṛṣṇa Balaram Kṛṣṇa Balaram Kṛṣṇa Ballarāma Jaya Kṛṣṇa Ballarāma Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Vishwapad Paramahams Sarvagacaya Sota Sata Sishamachila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya Vishnupad Paramahams Sarvagacaya Sota Sata Sishamachila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Kodi Vaishnavarind Ki Sirup Si Sanatan Bhatta Raghunathi Jeev Goparvata Dasa Raghunath Sari Krishna Prabhu Ki Prem Se Ko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivadari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopi Gopinath Cham Kund Radha Kundagiri Govardhana Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mathura Dham Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Jagannath Dham Ki Tulsi Maharani Bhakti Devi Ki Ganga Yamuna Devi Ki Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Sri Sri Gaunitai Ki Sri Sri Krishna Balaram Ki Sri Sri Radha Shyam Sundar Ki Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki All glories to the Assembled all glories to the Assembled all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. We are reading from the Bhagavad Gita as it is, 10th chapter, text number 31 and 32. Pavanam pavatām asmi Rāma śastra-bhṛtām aham jhaṣāṇāṁ makaraś cāsmi srotasām asmi jāhnavī pavanaḥ pavatām asmi Rāma śastra-bhṛtām aham jhaṣāṇāṁ makaraś cāsmi srotasām asmi jāhnavī pavanaḥ pavatām asmi Rāma śastra-bhṛtām aham jhaṣāṇāṁ makaraś cāsmi srotasām asmi jāhnavī pavanaḥ pavatām asmi Rāma śastra-bhṛtām aham jhaṣāṇāṁ makaraś cāsmi srotasām asmi jāhnavī pavanaḥ pavatām asmi Rāma śastra-bhṛtām aham jhaṣāṇāṁ makaraś cāsmi srotasām asmi jāhnavī pavanaḥ pavatām asmi Rāma śastra-bhṛtām aham jhaṣāṇāṁ makaraś cāsmi, srotasām asmi jāhnavī. Mataji's pavanaḥ pavatām asmi, Rāma śastra-bhṛtām aham, jhaṣāṇāṁ makaraś cāsmi, srotasām asmi jāhnavī. Pavanaḥ pavatām asmi, Rāma śastra-bhṛtām aham, jhaṣāṇāṁ makaraś cāsmi, srotasām asmi jāhnavī. Pavana, the wind, pavatām, of all that purifies. Asmi, I am, Rāma, Rāma, śastra-bhṛtām, of the carriers of weapons. Aham, I am, jhaṣāṇāṁ, of all fish. Makaraḥ, the shark. Cha, also. Asmi, I am, srotasām, of flowing rivers. Asmi, I am, jāhnavī, the river Ganges. Of purifiers I am the wind. Of the wielders of weapon I am Rāma. Of fishes I am the shark, and of flowing rivers I am the Ganges. Purport. Of all the aquatics, the shark is one of the biggest and is certainly the most dangerous to man. Thus the shark represents Kṛṣṇa. I'll read text number 32 also. Sagadam adirantascha madhyam chaivam arjuna adhyatma vidya vidyanam vada pravadatam aham. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Of all creations I am the beginning and the end and also the middle. O Arjuna, of all sciences I am the spiritual science of the self, and among logicians I am the conclusive truth. Among the purport, among the created manifestation, the first is the creation of the total material elements. As explained before, the cosmic manifestation is created and conducted by Mahavishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu and Kshirodakshay Vishnu. And then again, it is annihilated by Lord Shiva. Lord Brahma is a secondary creator. All these agents of creation, maintenance, and annihilation are incarnations of the material qualities of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, is the beginning, the middle, and the end of all creation. For advanced education, there are various kinds of books of knowledge, such as the 4 Vedas, there are 6 supplements, the Vedanta Sutra, books of logic, books of religiosity, and the Puranas. So altogether there are 14 divisions of books of education. Of these, the book which presents Adhyatma Vidya, spiritual knowledge, in particular, the Vedanta Sutra represents Kṛṣṇa. Among logicians, there are different kinds of arguments. Supporting one's argument with evidence that also supports the opposing side is called Jalpa. Merely trying to defeat one's opponent is called Vedanta, but the actual conclusion is Vad. This conclusive truth is a representation of Kṛṣṇa. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksuranmritam Yanam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Sabadantigam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamaran Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sherupam sagrajatam sahagana raghunatanvitam tam sajivam sadvaitam savadutam parjana saitam Kṛṣṇa chaitanya devam Shri Radha Kṛṣṇa padan sahagana lalita Sri Vishakandvitam cha He Kṛṣṇa karuna sindhu dinabandhu jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshari Prishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Paditanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Sri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Śrivāsadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Kṛṣṇa Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rāma Rama Rama Hare Hare. Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is speaking to his devotee Arjuna. Here in these verses, he is explaining to Arjuna, he's telling Arjuna how he can be seen in this world. So ultimately, one should always remember Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Lord, or any of his expansions. And naturally, the devotees, they're always absorbed in Kṛṣṇa. In the spiritual world, the associates of Kṛṣṇa, either in Golok or in Vaikuntha, in Vaikuntha they remember Vishnu, Narayan, the different manifestations. And there's a loving relationship there. So because of the deep love, they are able to remember Kṛṣṇa or Vishnu or Ram or Narayan. In this world, the conditioned souls, since time immemorial, they have been in conditioned state, not aware of Kṛṣṇa, not even remembering Kṛṣṇa. So therefore, Kṛṣṇa is speaking this Bhagavad Gita, the philosophy, that we have to understand our position, that we are different from the material and spiritual body, that we are spirit soul. And that actually our relationship is there with Kṛṣṇa. So it has to be revived. And so the process is given in the Bhagavad Gita. How to become free from this material world, from this three modes of material nature, from this attachment to this material world. By engaging in devotional service to Kṛṣṇa under the guidance of the spiritual master, slowly but surely we become attracted to Kṛṣṇa, we become attached to Kṛṣṇa, and then we can become detached from this material world. And especially stress is given on hearing about Kṛṣṇa. By hearing about Kṛṣṇa, especially from the advanced devotees, then Kṛṣṇa becomes manifest in the heart. And then we can remember him. And then we can forget anything of this material world. So therefore the devotees, they are every day, as Prabhupada has established, the devotees, they are every day hearing the Śrīmad Bhagavatam in the morning about Kṛṣṇa, about Kṛṣṇa's expansions. Now here in Vrindavan we are reading in the morning, Śrīmad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto. 33rd chapter about Krishna's wonderful pastimes with his most intimate, his most dear devotees, the gopis. So by hearing about these wonderful pastimes, and then throughout the day, actually, there's a good chance that we can also remember Krishna. And then in the evening again, we come together, we hear Bhagavad Gita. These are the words of Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad, Krishna. Bhagavan Sri Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. So in the Bhagavad Gita, the process is given of what to do and also what not to do. So first of all, Krishna is explaining that we have to understand that we are the spirit soul, that we are not this body, and that we have to tolerate all the difficulties which are there in this material world due to other living entities, due to natural disturbances, due to our own body and mind, adhyatmika, adi bhautika, adi daivik klesh. So they're actually coming and going. But by engaging in Krishna consciousness, we can tolerate these difficulties which are there. We can overcome the difficulties. So therefore, it is then also explained that one has to be very enthusiastic in engaging in devotional service, and one has to be fixed. One should know what is the goal, and one should know the process by which we can attain the goal. One has to engage in yoga, in connecting with the Lord. And Krishna is explained in Bhagavad Gita, karma yoga, working and then giving up the result of one's work to Krishna. That is known as karma yoga. When one is understanding that Krishna is the Lord and that we are His servants and that we are meant to satisfy Him, to serve Him. But one is not able to fully dedicate oneself in Krishna consciousness. So by nature, the soul has a natural love for Krishna. But in the conditioned state, it is in a dormant form. Therefore, we have to purify our consciousness so that our real spiritual nature will manifest and the natural love for Krishna will be there. So by engaging in some activity and giving up the result to Krishna, or at least part of a result, because we are living in this world, so we have to maintain our body, we have to take care of family, so some expenses are there. But some part of the income, that should be for Krishna's pleasure. And in this way one becomes purified. And then, as explained, it is important to hear about Krishna and also to acquire knowledge about how to properly engage in devotional service. That is then the process is there of acquiring knowledge, and then known as jnana yoga also. Jnana. One has to acquire knowledge, but simply knowledge, that is not sufficient. Again, one has to engage in devotional service. And another important point is one has to practice to become detached, vairagya, jnana and vairagya. Vairagya vidanija bhakti yoga sikshatamika purusha purana se Krishna chaitanya shariyadhari kripambariya yastavaham prapadye. That is a verse by one of Mahaprabhu's associates, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and he's explaining, I take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has come in the age of Kali. And he's the Supreme Lord, but he comes as a devotee. and he's showing us how to engage in devotional service. And he has given knowledge, jnana, and then vairagya, also shown that one has to be touched from this world. And then he's giving Nija Bhakti Yoga. Then he's giving the process of pure devotional service. Jnana karmanavritam anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmanavritam anukulina Kṛṣṇa anuchilanam bhakti ruttamam. So one should serve for the pleasure of the Lord as Kṛṣṇa wants. And one should not have a separate desire than Kṛṣṇa's desire ultimately. But that is not so easily achieved. So one has to gradually become attached to Kṛṣṇa, and then the more we become attached to Kṛṣṇa, then we can become detached from Kṛṣṇa. So then spiritual practices are there. And also Kṛṣṇa is explained Bhagavad Gita about the Ashtanga Yoga, about the yogis who are meditating on the Lord within the heart, and they also have a spiritual practice, a sadhana, and of controlling the mind, the senses, withdrawing the senses from the sense objects. Following some rules and regulations have to be there. So they are the Mukhya Anga, the main limbs of devotional service, and then the Gonanga, limbs which are also necessary but not as important. They're secondary limbs. So that is explained and also further on by Kṛṣṇa himself, and that yoginam abhisarvesham madgater antaratmara sarvam bhajatyamam sami yukta tamo mataha. That so of all yogis, he who is always thinking of me, he's the greatest of all. So one has to think of Kṛṣṇa, one has to try to remember Kṛṣṇa, and then one has to engage in devotional service, in bhakti yoga, for the pleasure of the Lord. At the same time, one has to acquire knowledge and also practice detachment from this world. So Kṛṣṇa has explained everything step by step in this Bhagavad Gita. And in the 9th chapter, he has explained, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakta payachati. That one should, whatever one should do, one should Yad karoshi, yad ashnasi, yad josi, tadasi, yad. We should do for Kṛṣṇa's pleasure. You do it for me. Whatever you're doing, you do it for me. So we have to eat. But whatever we're going to eat, first we offer to Kṛṣṇa, and then we take the remnants. And then we have to do some austerity to purify the mind and the senses. So that we also do, ultimately for the pleasure of the Lord, just like we do Ekadasi Vrat, or we do Purushottamas Vrat, Kartik Vrat, or Purushottam Vrat. These different vratas are there, austerity for purification, and usually the devotee, they will do a sankalpa, a declaration that tomorrow is Ekadashi, of course, for us. Tomorrow is Mahadvadashi. We are fasting tomorrow. Today is Ekadashi, but due to certain factors, then it is mentioned in our scriptures that, if, for example, the tithis are overlapping, then it is known as Trisprisha Mahadvadashi. Tithi is touching the sunrise of another, at the time of sunrise, another tithi. So some different rules and regulations are there which are mentioned, and then we have to follow not on Ekadashi, but the next day, which is known as Mahadvadashi. So tomorrow is Mahadvadashi, and we are fasting tomorrow from grains and from beans, and we try to increase our spiritual activities and decrease the material necessities. So traditionally, one will do sankalpa that tomorrow or on the Ekadashi or Dvadashi, Mahadvadashi in the morning, one will pray to the Lord, my dear Lord, let me be successful in the observance of my vrat. And I'm doing that for your pleasure, so that I may become purified in existence, so that I may do everything for your pleasure. Krishnendriya priti. For your pleasure we should do, for Krishna's satisfaction, for Krishna's senses satisfaction. Atmendriya tripti, not for our own sense gratification. Or before Kartik also, Kartik Vrat, which the devotees are following the month of Kartik, the devotees will pray to the Lord, please give me the strength so I can do this austerity for 1 month. To purify my consciousness, to purify myself. And I do this for your pleasure, but for my purification, so that I may then develop this pure love for you. So the devotees, and then for example, we have to take rest. Before taking rest, the devotee will also pray to the Lord, my dear Lord, so the whole day I was trying to serve you. Now my body is tired, now I will take some rest. And then one will pray so that one may be able to rest nicely, and also then of course that one may be able to maybe dream about Krishna also, about spiritual activities, and not dream about material things. So whatever the devotee is doing, he's doing for Krishna's pleasure. He's doing to purify his existence, so that he may be able to nicely serve Krishna. And everything should be done with a loving feeling, with devotion, bhakti, priti purvak. So for that, of course, one has to be in proper consciousness, and then one has to try to be free from the enjoying spirit, enjoying tendency. Even when we do a sacrifice for the pleasure of the Lord also, as the householders have to perform different sacrifices, the different yagyas, to purify themselves and their family members. Dashavida samskar. And then the priest will usually guide, and the yagya is performed. Of course, before the yagya also first puja is done for the pleasure of Guru, Gauranga, Krishna. Prayers are offered, and some flowers are offered, incense, ghee, and some bhoga, naivedya, some foodstuffs, some sweets are offered to the Lord. And then the yaga is performed. Agni Dev is invoked and offered respect and worshipped also. And then one will offer ahuti. One will offer some grains, and the priest will offer ghee. And the priest will always, he will say usually, saying one mantra, like for example, we may say Brahma Samhita prayers, and then, or the Purusha Sukta prayers, and then one will offer the oblations. Ghee or the samagri, havan samagri, some auspicious grains and herbs. And the priest will say, when he's offering a swaha, I'm offering this to you, my dear Lord. And not only offering the grains or the ghee, but offering oneself to the Lord. I belong to you. Tavai vasmi, tavai vasmi. I'm yours, I'm yours. And then he will offer the items and say swaha. Then he will say, idam Krishnaya, idam namama. My dear Lord, Krishna, it is for you, it is not for me. Every time, idam Krishnaya, idam nama, idam Krishnaya, idam namama. It is for you, my dear Lord, it is not for me what I'm offering. And so that actually has to be done constantly. Constantly we have to surrender to Krishna. In the pure state, that the surrender is complete. But in the conditioned state, the surrender is not complete. And one has to endeavor constantly. Actually, every second we have the choice to surrender to Kṛṣṇa or to be surrendering to material energy, to the external energy. One time Prabhupada was on the Singhasan, the Vyasasan, and he was saying, so every moment you have the choice. And he was showing practically, you can go towards Kṛṣṇa or you can go towards Maya. So every second we have the choice. We have to choose to go towards Kṛṣṇa. So constant endeavor has to be there. As long as we are conditioned, it is a kind of struggle. But then, so we have to struggle and we have to choose to serve Kṛṣṇa. And it is usually by love and not by force. Actually, Prabhupada many times told the devotees, we cannot force anyone to surrender to Kṛṣṇa. But somebody has to choose to take shelter of Kṛṣṇa. Usually when we say surrender, it is usually a kind of, we understand because the causeless unwillingness is there to serve Kṛṣṇa. So therefore one has to force oneself to surrender to Kṛṣṇa. But then in purified consciousness, then the loving sentiment will be there for Kṛṣṇa. And then we usually say that I'm taking shelter of Kṛṣṇa. We take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, we take shelter of Krishna's names. Or we see Krishna's beautiful form. So we take shelter of Kṛṣṇa. And then we are protected from this material, the external energy, and the constant difficulties which are there in this material world. So Kṛṣṇa, as in this verse, so he's helping us so that we may be able to see him. Even in this material world, if we cannot see him in his personal form, which in the beginning is not easy to always remember Krishna's beautiful form. That is possible only in purified consciousness. But then we have to try to see him in this world also. So therefore Kṛṣṇa is giving the example himself here. How we can see Kṛṣṇa. So here in the beginning, the wind. So the wind is blowing. And usually, especially when it's a little warm, then when there's a cool breeze, in the summer, at night time, when the full moon is there, then there's a cool breeze. And then we can remember Kṛṣṇa. So even the poets have described about Kṛṣṇa's pastimes, and even then Kṛṣṇa himself for the gopis, they want to be together. And then when they are there at the Yamuna Tira, Dira Samire, Yamuna Tire, Vasati Vanamala. So by Jayadeva Goswami, a great poet, so in his book Gita Govinda he has explained when Kṛṣṇa is there at the bank of the Jamuna and the gopis also, and the wind is there. And then the gopis, they know that the wind is there, and sometimes that will carry, the wind will carry the smell of Kṛṣṇa's bodily fragrance. And then they are reminded of Kṛṣṇa. So similarly also when the wind is blowing, then we may remember the pastime of Kṛṣṇa. So in this way the mind has to be trained, but for that we have to hear about Kṛṣṇa and Kṛṣṇa's pastimes with his devotees. And then we hear Bhagavad Gita, and that will help us to remember Kṛṣṇa by hearing Kṛṣṇa's words, what Kṛṣṇa has said. When the wind is blowing, then we can remember Kṛṣṇa, because Kṛṣṇa said. And so many powerful men are there in this world. And but in regards to that of powerful warriors, so we remember Rāma. with a bow and arrow, and he was fighting with wicked persons, or he was subduing many enemies or killing them, especially Ravana. So even if there are difficult situations are there, there's war going on, and then we can remember Kṛṣṇa also, or we remember Rāma, or we can, when there's a war there, like between Ukraine and Russia, the war is there. So we remember when we think of war, then we remember the war in Kurukshetra also, and Kṛṣṇa is there, and when we are with Kṛṣṇa, when we remember Kṛṣṇa, then there will be victory. What is explained here. So of course the warriors are there, but they are not as powerful as Rāma. So Rāma was extremely powerful. And even when in the ocean, so the different fishes are there, and the most powerful of them is the shark. And the big fishes are eating the small fishes, even the whale. They're eating small fishes, and the shark also sometimes. But even, many times they're attacking the human beings who are swimming in the ocean. And therefore one has to be very careful. Swimming in the ocean, and one has to take some information if there are sharks there or not. So because the shark, they see anything moving, and which is then there for them to eat. Of course, we don't want to encounter the shark, and so because that would be death if one is in the ocean. But still, if, for example, somebody is there in the ocean, and then if by misfortune then the shark is there, and then one has to face death. So even at the last moment, actually, we have to remember Kṛṣṇa. So the time of death, so that is actually the last test. If you have practiced throughout the life to remember Kṛṣṇa in difficult situations also, like even when the different demons were coming to Braj and attacking the Brijvasis of Kṛṣṇa, wanting to kill Kṛṣṇa, then Kṛṣṇa, he killed actually the demons, and he protected his devotees. So many times, so then they were calling out to Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa. Of course, the devotee usually doesn't want to take favor from Kṛṣṇa, but still in a difficult situation, there is no harm if we call out to Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa, please help me. To whom else shall we call out? There's no one else to call out except Kṛṣṇa. So we call out to Kṛṣṇa, 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 protect me. Of course, we know we are spirit soul, we will never die, but still, we are in this body, so we have to try to keep the body fit. Therefore, we are regulated in our eating, in our sleeping, in our drinking, working, recreation, and we try to live as long as possible, as long as destined. In the age of Kali, usually the lifespan is 100 years. So even according to Ayurveda, one should try to live 100 years. But it may not be possible. So then we have to depend on Kṛṣṇa, and then we also, in difficult situations, when facing that, then we have to call out to Kṛṣṇa. And ultimately everyone will have to give up the body. It may be natural death, or in old age, or sometimes even one is young. One will have to give up the body. So one has to be prepared to give up the body at any time. So then ultimately also there, even Kṛṣṇa is saying, I'm death personified. Especially then for the materialistic persons also. They want to say, oh, there's no God, I don't have to care for God. But then Kṛṣṇa comes in the form of death. And then everyone is finished. And even the devotee has to face that. But he's prepared. And he knows it is only the body. And he's surrendering to Kṛṣṇa throughout the lifetime. He's taking shelter of Kṛṣṇa. And then especially when the body is getting old, one cannot serve properly anymore. then the devotee is ready to give up the body. And even he doesn't mind to take another body to serve Kṛṣṇa. His only business is to serve Kṛṣṇa. And then there are many rivers, there are many holy rivers. Ganga Chai, Yamuna Chai, Godavari, Saraswati, Narmade, Sindhu Kaveri, Jaliswam, Sanidem Kuru. These are the holy rivers in Bharatvarsha. There may be even more, but these are main holy rivers. So, a different name for Ganges river, one is Jāhnavī also. According to the scriptures. So when the Ganga river goes to Navadvip, at that time there was a great sage, his name was Janumuni. And so the Ganges, the river, swept away his paraphernalia, his Achman Patra, and then he was a little upset, so he just swallowed the Ganga river. But then the great King Bhagirathi, who wanted to deliver his forefathers, then he prayed to Janumuni, please, you have to deliver, we have to deliver our forefathers. So please kindly release Ganga Devi again. And then from his knee, then the river again came out by his mystic power, and therefore she is known as Jāhnavī, the daughter of Janumuni. So the rivers, they are also manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the purification of mankind, the purification of the world. And if one is going to the holy river, he can feel the effect of the holy river. And if he takes bath in the holy river, immediately he will feel purified. And so the holy river, it is explained, emanated from the lotus feet of the Lord. Of course, we also know that the rivers have a personality like Ganga Devi or Yamuna Devi. And in the spiritual world, we know they are also serving Kṛṣṇa directly as gopis. And ultimately it is mentioned everything is not different from Kṛṣṇa. So Kṛṣṇa and Kṛṣṇa's potency, they are not different. And by remembering the rivers, then we remember Kṛṣṇa, because Kṛṣṇa performed a pastime in the Ganges river or in the Jamuna river. In Braj in the Jamuna river, and in Navadvip in the Ganges river. Mahaprabhu is no different from Radha and Kṛṣṇa. So when we see the holy rivers, we can remember the Lord also. Or even Ganga Chai, Yamuna Chai, Godavari, Saraswati. So different other rivers are there. Narmada river, Kaveri in South India. So these are all holy rivers meant to purify the conditioned souls. So they are manifestation of the mercy of the Lord. So by bathing in the holy rivers, we are able to remember the Lord. And then explaining them the beginning of this creation, the middle and the end. So we know that Kṛṣṇa is the source of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata savam pravartate. So everything is coming from Kṛṣṇa. All the spiritual worlds, all the incarnations, the energies, and even the material world is a manifestation of Kṛṣṇa. All the elements which are there of this world, they're coming from Kṛṣṇa. Known as pradhan when it is not manifest, and then prakriti or mahatattva when it is manifest. These are manifestations of Kṛṣṇa ultimately. Everything is coming from Kṛṣṇa. So by hearing this knowledge, by gaining this knowledge, by hearing about that, then we can remember Kṛṣṇa. So by Kṛṣṇa's will, the material world is manifest. But then with the help of Brahma or Brahma, so he has been given the duty of the creation of the different forms in this world, and then also giving the different living entities opportunity to be in different kinds of bodies. So Lord Brahma is the secondary creator. The original creator is Kṛṣṇa himself. Just like if some rich person, he wants to make a building or a palace or something, he will not do it himself. But it is his desire, and then he will give the money to a tekadar, to contractor, and then he has his man and he will do the work. But the tekadar is only the secondary creator. There's a person who wants a building or a palace, and then he has the idea and he will tell the creator also what he wants. How many rooms and bathroom and dining room and where to put it. And he's giving the money and everything. And then the contractor is doing the work. So he's not the original cause. Similarly, the Lord is the original cause, not Lord Brahma. And then Vishnu, so Mahavishnu is there, and Garbhadakshay Vishnu, Kshirodakshay Vishnu. So Mahavishnu is the first, actually, of course, under Krishna's direction ultimately. Mahavishnu is lying in the coastal ocean, and from his body unlimited universes are manifested. And in each universe, Garbhadakshay Vishnu is there, and then Lord Brahma comes. So in this way then also, through the Purushavatars, Kṛṣṇa is maintaining this world, this material world, all the universes. And then in the form of Paramatma is situated in everyone's heart and helping the conditioned soul to take up spiritual life. And at the end, so by Krishna's will, everything has to be again annihilated. And for that purpose, Lord Shiva is manifested to do the work of destruction with the help of Durga Devi. But it is by Krishna's will ultimately that he comes in creation, this world, that it is maintained and it is annihilated. And it is a kind of the play of the Lord. And then giving opportunity to some of his infinitesimal spiritual beings, the conditioned soul, to come to this world, and then they have the opportunity to realize their spiritual nature and their relationship with Kṛṣṇa. And then Kṛṣṇa himself has explained here also, of all the sciences, I'm the spiritual science of the self. So Kṛṣṇa is then Adhyatma Vidya. So he's giving this Vidya, this knowledge. Kṛṣṇa is Adi Guru, Jagat Guru. And he is giving this knowledge to Lord Brahma, and then to even Lord Shiva. He's giving the spiritual knowledge by which the conditioned souls, they can advance in their spiritual life, and they can become perfect. The first level is Sambandha Gyan, then Abhideya Gyan, then Prayojan Gyan. So from beginning to end, Kṛṣṇa is actually, he has given originally the knowledge, but then with the help of his representative, the spiritual master, then the conditioned soul is helped. And Kṛṣṇa also says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya chamridi sanvisto matasmiti jnanam apanam cha vedaishta sarvera vedyo vedanta vitkriya vedviteva chaham. So I'm giving the knowledge, I'm giving remembrance, I'm giving forgetfulness. By Kṛṣṇa's mercy we can remember him. And if you're not so fortunate, then we cannot remember him. So, but we have to endeavor to remember him, then by Kṛṣṇa's mercy we can remember him. And we can understand everything clearly. Vedanta, as mentioned here also. So Veda, that means knowledge, that is not different from Kṛṣṇa. But then specifically Vedanta Sutra, as presented by Vyasadeva, that is the conclusion. And then the Śrīmad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on the Gayatri, or the Vedanta Sutra. So this is all Kṛṣṇa, this knowledge. The Gayatri mantra is not different from Kṛṣṇa. or Krishna's expansions. There's a Krishna Gayatri, there's a Gauranga Gayatri, there is a Nrsimha Gayatri, Vishnu Gayatri, Narayan Gayatri. So that is all, these are manifestations of Krishna. And the conclusion, Siddhanta. So that is, that we belong to Krishna, that we have to be engaged in Krishna service. We have to develop our love for Krishna. So first the knowledge is there of our relationship with Krishna, and then how to engage in devotional service, and then how to develop love for Krishna. So that is ultimately coming from Krishna, as Madan Mohan, Govinda Dev and Gopinath. But then through the spiritual master, the practical application is there. So that is all a manifestation of Krishna. So Krishna is kindly is giving this knowledge to Arjuna for our benefit, and then Prabhupada has very nicely explained, because simply by reading Bhagavad Gita we cannot understand. But then Srila Prabhupada has given the explanation by which we can understand. So just the law books may be there of a country, or of course even of the scriptures, and the different textbooks are there even in school, but then you need a teacher to explain. Otherwise it is difficult without a teacher. So the teacher is there to help us understand what Krishna wants us to say. So therefore we take shelter of the spiritual master, who is the representative of Krishna, and then it is more easy to understand what Krishna wants to say. And then we can properly surrender to Krishna, and we can develop our love for Krishna. Hare Krishna. So Krishna is very kind. He has given everything, and he has given nice Krishna Prasad also. So you can come here and get some Krishna Prasad. Hare Krishna.